Alright, y'all, we're members of the Team OBC, otherwise known as the Olive Branch Crew.
We're 10 students from the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School of Business, and at the beginning of the semester, we decided and chose to work on this project.
Laura Richlin, Parkway's own peace coordinator, has given us the task of carrying on an event that will promote the school's mission of peace and social justice.
Out of our ideas and students' creativity was born peace, passion, and fashion.
So let's get it going. We would like to introduce our keynote speaker from Fox Sports News, Mr. Tollefson.
Hello everybody, how are we doing tonight? Good? You are in, listen up, you are in for a great treat tonight, because listen up guys, be quiet as you can. I've been backstage and I've seen what some outstanding young people are about to do for you. I'm going to be very, very brief because the stars of the show are the people behind me. But when I got this invitation, and I apologize for being late, but anybody who's ever driven on the Schuylkill Expressway knows what happens. And I was doing well, and then I wasn't doing well. But I'm here now, and I'm here because I believe in the young people of Philadelphia. I believe, as you do, in the young people we're going to see as part of this show, as part of this demonstration, as part of this fashion extravaganza. But I believe in them most of all because on days like today, when I spend my time around the Philadelphia Eagles football team, I get into some very interesting discussions. And right now it's not easy. It's not easy to be around the Philadelphia Eagles football team because they're not playing very well. And everywhere they go, people are saying negative things about it. But I want to take a moment of your time to talk about 3 conversations I had today. One of them was with head coach Andy Reid. One of them was with a black football player by the name of Hank Baskett. And one of them was a white football player by the name of Dirk Johnson. And we happen to be talking about an event that I'm involved in this Saturday called Win One for the Kids, where 16 Philadelphia Eagles are going to take about 75 youngsters from the Police Athletic League shopping. They're taking them shopping at the Gallery, in Plymouth Meeting Mall, Willow Grove Park, Exeter Square, Springfield Mall, Cherry Hill, Morristown, and Echelon. And I tell you that story because Coach Reid and Dirk and Hank and I got into a discussion about one of the reasons why I was proud to be here tonight. A lot of people do not believe in the potential of the inner city child in Philadelphia. A lot of people pick up a newspaper, listen to a radio station, watch television, and they think that an awful lot of young people are involved in constantly and chronically negative behavior. And I wanted to come here tonight to do one thing in particular, and that is let you know that there are some of us who believe absolutely the opposite of that. Who believe that what is really happening in the city needs to be publicized because the overwhelming majority of children are like the ones we're showcasing here tonight. The overwhelming majority of children are about peace and social justice. You're going to hear later on tonight from a dear friend of mine, and I'm going to have to go because I got to do the news, but I'm going to stay as long as I can to see this great presentation. But Milt Thompson is a Phillies coach. Milt Thompson tells stories, and I'm sure he'll share one of them with you tonight, about his grandfather who played at the time of the Negro Leagues in America. And at that time, if your skin happened to be black, you could play Major League Baseball. And I never got to know Jackie Robinson, but I got to know very well a great Negro Leaguer by the name of Joe Black, who was one of the great pitchers in the history of the Negro Leagues, and was Rookie of the Year in Major League Baseball with a 13-1 record when he was finally allowed to pitch, something that should have happened a long time ago. And I was talking with Andy Reid today about social justice and peace and the themes that we're dealing with today. And I have 3 quick points I want to make to the young people. I want to make point number 1, that as long as one American is treated unfairly based upon his or her race, creed, or color, all Americans are treated unfairly. And until we change that, until we change that perception that some people have of inner city children, again, they just have to be from the inner city, whether they happen to be black or Spanish or white or Asian. It doesn't really matter. A lot of people perceive them differently than children who were born into a family with more means. So number one, my first point is keep on keeping on in the fight for social justice. Never, ever, ever, ever give up trying to do what Dr. King and Jackie Robinson and other people taught us to do. Never give that fight up. Because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And here tonight, we are representing the best of Philadelphia at a great school dedicated to that. Second of all, it takes a bigger person to walk away from a confrontation or an argument than it does to resort to any kind of violence. And violence is something that is so insidious, because it could be as simple as just touching somebody in a playful, what you think is fun way. And that escalates into something else, and that escalates into a weapon. And I'll tell you a quick story, secondly, before my final point, about Andy Reid. Andy Reid and I were talking today about his temper. And he has a tremendous temper. I hope the sound system probably will work as I come a little closer so I can see faces of these beautiful children. He was talking to me about the fact that he gets angry. And I said, Andy, don't you sometimes just want to go to your players and go, what is your problem? Why can't you catch that ball? Why can't you make that tackle? Why don't I start screaming at you and screaming at you and screaming at you? And he said, Don, I learned a long time ago. And he said, just look at my red hair. That's another perception we have, that red-haired people have terrible tempers. He said, I learned a long time ago that sometimes when you fly off the handle, you say things you don't really mean. You hurt people you don't really want to hurt. And words quickly escalate into physical confrontation. So at the same time you're fighting for social justice, you got to also fight for peace. And that's something that some people I don't think understand, because to be nonviolent, like Dr. King was, means you fight without ever resorting to retaliation or confrontation or something physical. And if you watch, how many of you watched an Eagles game over the last couple of weeks? Any of you watched it? Okay. If that doesn't make Andy Reid fly off the handle with his players, it shows that he is the bigger person. And the last point I want to leave you with is the last point that happened in my day today. We're going to see great young people as part of a project that emphasizes that it's fashionable to be peaceful, that it's fashionable to fight for justice, that it's fashionable to treat each other with respect and dignity regardless of race, color, or creed, and to treat each other as you would like to be treated. And the last slide I'll remember is I was driving away from the Eagles NovaCare facility today, getting ready to do a couple of school visits and then come here, was I saw a black man, Hank Basket, and a white man, Dirk Johnson, arm in arm, walking together, talking about some of the things we had just discussed.